In this video, I'm going to be going over red states versus blue states. Which states should you be investing in? Which states should you stay away from? And then diving a little bit deeper, because we like to just say red versus blue, but it actually gets much more complicated than that. And I'm going to be going over the reasons why and a couple of things to look out for in each state. If you want to dive a little bit deeper, look under the surface, and we're going to do that in this video. If you don't know who I am, my name is Antoine Martel. I've been investing in real estate for the last decade. My family and I have bought and sold over 650 single family houses. We've sold another 1,000 houses on our website, Martel Turnkey. I trained other people how to invest in real estate and flip houses. They've flipped over 1,500 properties. And now my day-to-day job is making content and running my real estate fund called Red Brick Equity. And we're focusing on buying apartment buildings across the country in areas that need more affordable housing. So with that being said, let's get into the video. So a lot of people that I talk to on a daily basis just say, I just want to invest into a red state, right? I want to stay away from the blue states. And I completely concur with that. I've invested in 15 different states over the last 10 years. And most of those states, 10, 12, 13 of those states have been red states. Obviously, they're much easier to work with. They are much easier to, build your portfolio, easier to do business, yada, yada, yada. But I wanted to think about it. Let's go through kind of like my framework and how I think about it, because I would be open to investing into a blue state so long as X, Y, and Z happened. And I'm sure you would as well. You would be open to investing in California or New York if these conditions were met. So if we think about it like that, it kind of changes the way that we're seeing these states, because every state is a little bit different. Like Washington is a blue state, but they have pro-gun laws and they have no income tax, but they're still all, left-wing granola munchers that like to go hiking. We can't just put these red versus blue labels on it. Like every single state is different, and it does take time to go through the deeper surface and to look under the hood and see what the hell is actually going on. And also some of these states have programs to mitigate X, Y, and Z thing. I don't want to invest in this state because of X. Okay, cool. Some of these states have come up with programs to mitigate that risk so that they can get more investors to come in and invest in their deals. I'm going to be breaking that down. We're going to go through it step by step. So the first thing is that people don't want to invest in a blue state. Why? Let's go through them one by one. So we don't want to invest in a blue state because, one, we don't want rent control. Now, out of the 15 states that I've invested in, I've been doing mostly in the Midwest. Rent control doesn't really happen unless you're in, obviously there's probably some other states I'm missing, but California and New York, historically, very, very pro rent control states. I invest in a couple of blue states right now, Michigan and Illinois. Both of these states, no rent control. A lot of people don't even think that. They just think oh, you're in this state, oh, you must have rent control. And they don't really look a little bit deeper under the hood. So number one, rent control. People think that all blue states have rent control. That is not true. Michigan and Illinois have no rent control. My question to you, if you're a person leaning very much I only want to invest in red states, I'm hoping by the end of this video that I actually convince you oh shit, I would be open to investing in a blue state. That's what my goal is. Number one, rent control. If you only want to invest in red states, now you want to invest in blue states. Okay, cool. If there was no rent control in that state, would you be open to investing in a blue state? Cool. Your answer is probably, yes, I might be. Great, fantastic. Moving on to number two. So they don't want rent control. Also, they don't want evictions. Evictions take too long. That is right. California and New York, they can take 6 to 12 months. Other states, typically bluer states, are going to take a little bit longer. Red states that we have, right? Ohio, Missouri, Tennessee, these will take 60 days. Now their blue counterparts, still in the Midwest, you have Michigan and Illinois. These will take 90 to 180 days. Not too bad, but also not as bad as people think. A lot of people I feel think oh, you're investing in a blue state, it's gonna be 6 to 12 months no matter what. Not really. We gotta kind of ignore California and New York. If we're investing in blue states, Michigan and Illinois, we can have a 10 out of 90 days, which is just 30 days worse than their red counterparts. So if we run our numbers on this deal, how do we mitigate this? Cool. We just vacancy, we increase it. When you're doing your math, running your numbers on your property, just increase the vacancy. This would be from 60 to 90 or 60 to 180. Let's say instead of going from a 5% vacancy, you go to an 8% vacancy, or 5 to 10. This is one that we can actually solve by just changing the way that we're running the numbers. So looking at the actual state, talking to the actual property management company within that state to figure out like where we need to adjust our numbers. What is your historical vacancy rate? What's your historical eviction rate? These are questions to ask the property management company. Take those ideas and then put them back into your underwriting, into your analysis, so that you're going to be all good and all set. Those are the two things: rent control, evictions take too long. What is something else that people who are investing in blue states don't want to deal with? The red tape, we'll call it, even though it would be called blue tape, but they don't want to deal with the red tape. The red tape with blue states is typically for a couple different project types. Like this really comes into play if you're doing new construction. If you're doing single family houses, multifamily value add, commercial buildings, buying stuff and just like light value add, not changing its sources and uses, you don't even have to deal with this. Like we're talking about new construction, ground up construction, new developments. I completely get it. You might not want to invest in the blue states. If you do invest in the blue states and you have to do this, because let's say like California is going to take like 2 to 3 years versus like Nevada would take like 6 months. Like, I get it. However, if you could run the numbers, just take your construction length and just double it, triple it, quadruple it. I know obviously like the prices also don't make sense in California, but that is something that could be solved. I just think that if you're watching this video, it's like you're probably not out there doing new construction and all that kind of stuff. So this like whole red tape thing is not really for me and you, to be honest. If we're buying stuff that's already livable, increasing the value of it over time, doing slight renovations, you're not going to have to deal so much with the red tape. Next one is property taxes. Okay, now this one's kind of interesting because red states actually have very, very poor property taxes. Let's just focus on Texas, for example. Texas property taxes, Florida property taxes have been skyrocketing. They've been increasing because they don't have any income tax. They compensate that with property tax. I know Florida has talked about like removing property tax, which would be crazy, but let's just say for right now, the way that it is, we have property taxes. I would say they're both equally as bad, no matter which state that you go. I would say like red versus blue, they're kind of equal. First of all, every single state does their property taxes different, so I want you to kind of look a layer like deeper. But I would say both red and blue states are just as bad for property taxes. Red states, again, increase their taxes a bunch. Blue states historically have high property taxes. However, there are ways to compensate this. So this is kind of like my way that I get around this. Would you invest in a blue state if you can do a tax program? Aha, interesting. So would you invest in California if you could lock in your property taxes for the next 100 years? Like, would that be one of the reasons? Would you invest in California if you're not doing new construction, you increase your vacancy a ton, rent control, sadly, you're not going to be able to get out of, but you're able to cap your property taxes for the next 30 years? Would you do it? Cool. There's actually programs like this. Michigan has the pilot program, PILOT. Illinois has the ASAP program, AHSAP. Ohio has this program. This has this program. There's all these different programs that you can go out there and get to kind of mitigate your property taxes. I hope this gives you a little bit of color that it's not just red versus blue. There are different things about people say, I don't want to invest in a red state. Cool. Why? Why don't you want to invest in a red state? Well, because they're rent control. What if you invested in a state that had no rent control? Oh, those exist? Yes. Evictions take too long. Cool. What if we doubled the vacancy? Okay, sweet. I don't want to deal with the red tape. Okay, cool. Are we doing new construction? No, we're not. Oh, property taxes are too high. Cool. This state has an ASAP program that mitigates property taxes. So I've been buying multiple apartment buildings this year in Illinois. So Illinois, we have rent control, even though this is a blue state, right? People say, I don't want to invest in a blue state. Illinois does not have rent control. Then we have evictions. We just 2x vacancy to get over that. We can't evict tenants. It takes 90 to 180 days. Cool. Let's double our vacancy in our math. Cool. We feel good about that. Fantastic. So no rent control, no evictions. Property taxes. We have a program called ASAP. Don't have to deal with property taxes because we're doing affordable housing. So we don't have to deal with property taxes going up. And then red tape. Don't move walls. Like, we're not doing anything new construction. We're buying old buildings from 1910, 1920, 1950, putting new tenants in place with no rent control, with double the amount of vacancy, locking in property taxes. So there is ways that you can go out there and invest in blue states. And I hope this kind of like opened up your mind a little bit to think a little bit deeper into what's going on with the blue versus the red, and just think a little bit more deeply into it. People ask me like, would you ever invest in California? Yeah, I would. If you can solve these 4 issues, I would invest in California. I think the biggest thing for me is probably just the rent control part. I'm okay with investing in a state. I think we just don't like the rent control because there's no way to get around it. I'm proving to you that there's other ways to get around all these other issues with investing in a red state versus a blue state. That's kind of it If you do want to invest in real estate alongside me, invest in blue states, invest in red states, whatever the hell states, we just focus on providing the best return that we possibly can and making the most amount of money as we possibly can. And so if you have any inclination to investing in real estate, if you are an accredited investor, so you make over $200,000 a year or have $1 million in net worth, click the link down below, top of the description. We'll love to invest with you and partner up to buy some apartment buildings across the country. Go ahead and click that link down below. You're going to get a ton of free stuff about who we are, what we do, a couple of decks, deal analyzer, anything else you need. So if you have a 401k and you want to invest with that, you can do so as well. Thanks for staying till the end of the video. Make sure to like and subscribe so you get more videos just like this one, and I'll see you on the next one.